Oh, well, there's a fly flying around. It's kind of, affecting my room. It keeps flying around, it keeps really annoying me. But yeah, hey guys, welcome back to my new video on YouTube. And I figured that I might as well do a video on a topic that I'm quite intrigued with at the moment. So I hope you guys are enjoying the content so far. Obviously, I am going to try and obviously get these video essays out as much as I can. Obviously, I've just got a lot of things going on in my life, trying to find a job and other stuff too, and just a lot of things are just going on with my life that that is kind of what's the word, got me occupied, if that makes any sense. But I hope that you guys are really obviously enjoying the content, and I'm just going to be making obviously short video essays, and it's very different to the last video essay that we did, which was a little bit more of a chit chat kind of video essay. This one is I feel like I've structured it in more a formatted type of way, and I've also tried to get video clips playing as B-roll footage, so to play throughout the video too, if you can see that, and stuff like that. I'm still figuring out how I'm gonna structure this video essay as a whole, but yeah, this one's just gonna be a short video essay. So I've been waffling on, so just make sure to comment and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because more video essays will come when I have the will to make them and fatigue is not kicking my fucking ass. But yeah, but without further ado, I am gonna do a video in regards to the Palestinian genocide, because the genocide at the moment is something that I'm very passionate in. It's a topic that that's very close and dear to my heart, and I really feel like doing a video essay on the Palestinian genocide would be very good. And I wanted to do more of a video essay where I'm basically talking about how Zionists are still hanging on to the dying ship and ideology that is Zionism. And I wanted to talk about how this ties into fascist ideology, and how when everything is burning around them, and when the fascist ideology and Zionist ideology is pretty much falling, and it's basically coming to its end, the Zionist and the fascist will always cling on and pretty much hang on to that ideology until the very end, even if everything's burning around them. I just want to get more into that. So without further ado, let's go start the video essay. And again, make sure to comment, subscribe to the video essay. More video essays will come in the future about a variety of different topics, and if you feel I should do a video essay on a certain topic, comment below, and I will try and do a video essay on that topic that you suggest. So without further ado, let's start. And free Palestine too, by the way, free Palestine. So just wanted to get started, is that Zionism is falling. Zionism is not a popular ideology to follow, and that's within good reason. It's falling, it's dying, and so, yeah, as of late, I just wanted to obviously talk about how that Zionism is quickly proving itself to be just a very unpopular ideology. We see in the recent polls, in the UK or the US or a lot of Western countries, that Israel is quickly losing its support in the Western world, basically, and the ideology is losing its support, but Zionists are still in that sort of delusional aspect that they believe that their ideology is the best, and they still are thinking that they have popular support, among a lot of people. I mean, we saw this recently with that Gwyneth Paltrow, sort of advert for the Israeli housing estates, where it's to build more homes in Israel. First of all, the advert was filmed in New York, so I was anything to do with Israel, I don't fucking know. But yeah, obviously you saw that with the shilling of the Israeli housing firm that she was advertising, and how she got absolutely and rightfully so dogpiled for her support in regards to that, and rightfully so. And we see it with how Zionists in Hollywood and in prominent circles, people fucking Jerry Seinfeld, that clip when he was confronted on Zionism after the Knicks game, and he was still fucking shilling for Zionism, what the fuck, and how he was shilling for it even after the Knicks game happened, and he was surrounded by a bunch of pro-Palestine advocates. Shout out to the guy, by the way, who confronted Jerry on his Zionism, by the way. But yeah, or with politicians, whether that's from the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, the Labour Party, or the Reform Party, who are just keep spying their Zionism, because they delude themselves into thinking that it's popular, when that is literally further from the truth. At this point, Zionism is a very, very, very unpopular ideology. Yet Zionists are deluding themselves into thinking that their ideology is, the best. And the truth and the reality is the fact that Zionists know that their fucking ideology is absolutely fucking stupid, but they have to delude themselves into thinking everyone surrounding them is sharing or in support of their ideology. Because if they just think otherwise, and they just actually put the mirror to themselves and believe and question them on their Zionism, the thing is that they would realize that it's a fucking stupid ideology. It's a fucking stupid ideology, which is absolutely disgusting and absolutely inhumane. Because it basically just wants the power and authority over pretty much a marginalized group in the Palestinians. But they've got to delude themselves into thinking everyone surrounding them is sharing or in support of the ideology, because doing otherwise would then pretty much admit defeat. And if there's one thing that Zionist crybabies don't want to do, is admit defeat. Because pretty much their ego and power of white supremacy just won't let them obviously give in to the cruelty and just this pure straight up evilness of their ideology, because they have to believe that their ideology is fucking stupid and disgraceful. So they've just got to overall delude themselves and just kind of in a way brainwash themselves into believing that they got that they have a popular ideology. Because I guess when you do that, and Zionists are batshit insane and crazy, and by deluding themselves into thinking they have a popular ideology, it will make them sleep at night, because they're cool as souls. They don't have a soul that will help them sleep at night. But even though they shouldn't even be sleeping at night, because that ideology that they follow should keep them up all night, fucking being stressed out, because it's absolutely inhumane. But Zionism, at the end of the day, it creates this weird sense of loyalty to the cause, and this directly ties back into fascism. And how fascism will also create those loyal foot soldiers to follow every single fucking command of the ideology, even when everything is falling and failing besides them. Netanyahu, Benjamin, Netanyahu is a fucking war criminal. He's a war criminal, straight up. There's evidence that shows that from obviously the reports going out from the UN and stuff like that, with how they class a genocide. The man is a fucking war criminal. But because of the ideology of Zionism, it's based completely on lies and it's not principled enough, it's going to have this fucking bozo just start believing into his own lies. What the fuck? And even if there's factual evidence of that there's a Palestinian genocide and the suffering Palestinians, as I mentioned before with the UN reports and stuff like that, are going under, Zionists just can't fathom to attest to that, because the problem is that if they did and they admitted that the genocide would be ongoing, that would be defeat from Zionists. And if there's one thing that white supremacists do not like, is admitting defeat. They will hang on to the very end and cling on to the very end to admit defeat. And Zionists, and so they don't want to, admit defeat. They always want to be right. They always want to be the winners. They always want to be seen as the victors. And Zionists as a whole are a group of prideful, fucking weird nutjobs. They must always claim they're right, because admitting their wrongs would be them admitting that everything they learned was a fucking lie. And they can't live with that. They just can't live with the fact that everything that they've learned was a lie, even though it was a lie. And it just got me thinking, because I've recently just read a book, and the book's is a book called Milk-Fed, and it's about a Jewish woman called Rachel who meets up and starts a connection with another woman called Miriam, who's also Jewish. Rachel's a bit of a progressive, obviously, Jewish woman, and she believes in a free Palestine and is very pro-Palestinian in the book. But in that book, Miriam's family are Zionists, and Rachel does address and confront them on their own Zionism. And oh my god, when I was reading the book, I was just kind of seething, because Miriam's family just don't want to acknowledge or want to be challenged on their Zionism at all. They don't want to acknowledge it at all. And Rachel is basically questioning them and pressuring them and questioning them on that, this is a disgusting ideology. In the mum, and in the book, when they have a dinner and stuff like that, I think Rachel is basically debating with Miriam's mum about, why do you follow this fucking ideology? And the thing is the fact that Rachel obviously completely obliterates the mum on a Zionism, because deep down the mum knows that her ideology isn't right, but she's got to keep coming with these excuses, and Rachel absolutely just questions her on all these excuses, and it gets the Zionists to become violent and become more aggressive with the way how they're fronted on that in the debates. You can even see this in the two recent Louis Theroux documentaries he did about Palestine, called The Settlers, and, well, the Israeli occupation and genocide of Palestinians. And in The Settlers, you can see how the Zionists, they become very violent and very aggressive. You know, especially in that one, I think clip and interview from the an interview when Louis Theroux is just interviewing this vile Zionist woman. I forgot the name of her. But yeah, he's interviewing that vile Zionist woman, and you can just see the hatred and delusion like coming out of her soul. Like, girl, that woman in that interview just looks absolutely fucking possessed. It's like a scene from, like, you know, a horror movie. And that scene, you can just see just how soulless and brainwashed Zionists are to the point where they're too far gone. And I just feel sorry for, like, the amount of, like, Palestinians that just have to, like, suffer, you know, under, you know, the occupation, just under this genocide, because they're surrounded by just absolutely genocidal freaks in regards to Israel, who really just want them as a group to be exterminated. And in that one interview, it's very scary because you can see the Zionist ideology, you know, at its full dispense. They truly believe their ideology is a good one, and no matter a difference of that point will tell them otherwise. And that leads me to my next point. So in my next point is that we've already seen this before in history. The Zionist ideology is falling, and that's always, you know, great to see. But yet the ideological demons committing themselves to it is nothing new in terms of, like, you know, clinging on to it, even if it's falling and even if everything around them is, like, you know, just basically getting dragged through the mud, and, you know, everyone's going against the ideology, but yet the fascist and the Zionist are still clinging on to it. This is nothing new, because when Nazism and Italian fascism was falling towards the end of World War II, the ideological demons still stood by with their ideology. This is why when, you know, a lot of Nazi officers basically lost the war and, you know, were brought to trial in Nuremberg. Also, P.S., can we please bring Israeli war criminals to that also, so they can also go through a trial? But when they brought to trial in Nuremberg, a lot of these officers were still in that Nazi ideology. They didn't, you know, obviously, like, you know, like, completely regret what they did. They were still Nazis through and through. You can even see a lot in the Germans in the post-Nazi years and what they called denazification. A lot of these Germans, you know, they simply couldn't either let go of their beliefs, or alternatively they blamed the people in charge, so like the Hitlers, the Goebbels, and all those people in charge for their beliefs, but they didn't confront their own evils within, and they didn't confront their own demons in believing in such an ideology, and they never confronted that. It was either they remained Nazis, or they were basically saying how they were pretty much hoodwinked by the Nazis, but they never confronted that own sort of, you know, evil, you know, within the ideology. And that just led them to stick by the ideology of Nazism towards the very end, even if it was falling, you know. Obviously, some of them, towards the end of World War II, still kept clinging on with the dying ideology that was Nazism. And, you know, we saw this with the Italian fascism under Mussolini around that similar time period. People remaining loyal to Mussolini towards the end. And these, by the way, were just your average normal day, you know, people, like just average, like, citizens in both Nazi Germany and fascist Italy, who were, you know, still clinging on to these beliefs. Even if it was falling and everything was burning beside them, they were still clinging on to the belief. Hell, in many ways, we're seeing this today in the pro-MAGA and pro-Trump people in America. You know, MAGA is falling, yet working class American pro-MAGA people still refuse to fully leave the cult of fascism. You know, in fact, the iconic Queer Coke Francis, who, by the way, you should really check out their videos, and you should really check out their content. They make, you know, amazing videos, basically just dunking on conservative and fascist people. So highly recommend Queer Coke Francis. But they recently did a video the icon, Quick Francis, they recently did a video where they basically looked at pro-MAGA people who are basically just begging and pleading with Trump to help them through, everything that's going on right now with the cost of living crisis and, working class Americans, financially suffering at the moment. And those pro-MAGA Trump people were basically begging and pleading with Trump to help them. And again, it goes back to when everything is falling, they still remain locked into fascism. It's hard for them to move away from what they're conditioned to believe in, because just like Zionists, that would mean they would have to do the self-work and reflection to move away from such an ideology. And a lot of MAGA people still want to benefit in a white supremacist and an ideologically fascist society. But the reality is they don't really benefit in any ways, but they, in their false delusion, believe they will, even though Trump and the rest of the Trump admin and the MAGA do not care about you guys. And they don't want to admit their own wrongs, just like Zionists don't want to admit their own wrongs. And this was the same for Germans in Nazi Germany or fascists over in Italy. Owning up would have been absolutely abhorrent for them, because it would be like them finally giving themselves up. And the thing is, fascists and Zionists would rather live in the false illusion. Even though there's nothing to benefit from siding with fascism and Zionism as it directly affects you in the long run, the ideology is an ideology of crybabies and will never want you to give in and submit. This is how Nazis got popular in the first place, because it brought the scapegoats to another group, like Jews, or with fascists in Italy also using Jews and other minority groups, or alternatively, Trump using Muslims and other immigrant groups as the scapegoat. Don't blame the systems of capitalism that are actually oppressing you and fucking you right in the ass. Don't blame those systems of capitalism that are just absolutely just screwing you over. Fascism will always, assure you that you can blame the other scapegoats, and the individual will be brainwashed by big corporations and by the people at the top to always being dead set with this ideology, because those people at the top kind of need those people to be loyal to this ideology, because if they woke up, then they'd be in trouble. So they need those people to remain, loyal to this ideology, so that, and that to also blame the scapegoats as well, so that the own person doesn't do the self-reflection to actually realize what they're believing is wrong. But to keep constantly believing that until the very end, so to keep constantly believing in the whole false notion of fascism and Zionism till the very end, even if everything's burning and surrounding them, like we see with the Zionists now, it has happened before, with fascism and Germany, and now with the downfall of MAGA in America, we will see that everything is burning and everything is falling apart. And remember, fascists will always lose, and Zionism will lose as a result of that, because of what we're seeing. It's burning, it's falling apart. Those ideological demons may want to stick by to it, but it's going to fall apart, and they won't win in the end. So, in conclusion, I will have to say that if you guys see any pro-MAGA or pro-Zionist people out there espousing their beliefs, and if they're refusing to budge, as progressives and leftists and socialists and communists and all that, wonderful stuff, we must always raise our voices and challenge them on their beliefs. Just remember that Zionists and fascists are delusional. They want to believe what they're doing is right. So that's where it's genuinely up to us to question them on their beliefs and always challenge that. We must, as a community, as a whole, as progressives and as leftists and as socialists and communists, we must always, hold up that ugly mirror to Zionism and fascism and remind them that it's a very ugly ideology to follow, and there's no winning if you still follow and you still keep through it, because they will always lose at the end of the day. So remember to always keep on fighting against it, and remember that Zionists and fascists, well, they're never welcomed here. And always remember that their views are not encouraged, and it is always going to be challenged, with. So if you ever come across people like that, always question them on their beliefs. Get them questioning, get them actually thinking about what the fuck are they even following, Just get them questioning on their disgusting beliefs, and if they're not going to budge, never give in. Just always, always, always challenge them for what they believe in, because what they believe in is disgusting beliefs that they follow. So everyone, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully going to be uploading more videos like this with this sort of formatted kind of video essay. more like this rather than the last one I uploaded, which is more of a chit chat one. Though to be fair, I might sprinkle in chit chat one. You never know. But yeah, I'm hopefully gonna upload more videos like this in the future, and hope you guys enjoyed this style of video essay. In the end, definitely gonna make videos like this later on, if I can. And fatigue isn't kicking me in the fucking ass, and all those other things. But yeah, hopefully, I can hope to upload these video essays because I'm really enjoying them, and I really want to get these out to you guys as an audience to really watch and consume, and I hope you guys are enjoying the content. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video on this recent video essay. Always remember that this channel is going to keep posting this, and remember, comment below about what video or what video essay topic should I do next. But yeah, always remember to keep fighting the good fight, and always keep on fighting the good fight against fascism, fight against Zionism, and always question them on their beliefs, and always challenge them, and always provide pushback, and always remember that they are on the losing side, and that everything around them is burning around them. So yeah, so make sure to subscribe to the channel. That would be much appreciated. Like, comment, subscribe on the video, and yeah, that's all I have to say. So yeah, that's the end of a video essay, and yeah, bye. And oh yeah, free Palestine, by the way. Always remember that, free Palestine too. But yeah, bye, have a great day, and take care.